so much, Robin, for all that great knowledge that you always share and all the great questions and keeping the chat moving. As you know, we host a video recap to give you the top learnings of each of the chats. A reminder, these are all sponsored by Verizon Wireless, hence the hashtag VZWBuzz. I am thrilled to introduce you visually to Sandy Simos. She is with Verizon Wireless in Chicago. Are you in the Schaumburg?
In the Schaumburg office. I work out of Schaumburg.
Right. Sandy, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for the invitation. It's been my pleasure. I'm learning as much as I'm trying to communicate, so it's been great.
Well, based on the chat, we got some great nuggets of information, so thank you so much for that. Today, also, someone is going to win a Nokia Lumia 735 smartphone, so stay tuned. We'll probably go about 10 minutes total, and we'll be announcing the winner right live here on Blab. For those of you new to Blab, if you hover over our names and you click, you'll know who we are. Most of us talk about technology. We're passionate about technology, and the VZWBuzz chats on Twitter are all about sharing good information, useful information to help you make good decisions about your devices, about smartphones, tablets, accessories, apps, and other resources that may be useful to you. And today, it's all about back to school. So, Sandy, you're a mom. How old are your kids?
I have one, and she's almost 16, high school junior. So it's a big year for us this year.
Oh, wow. That is so important.
Yes.
And you represent, well, one of the products that you work on at Verizon Wireless is Family Base. I'd like for you to give us just a quick overview of what it is.
Well, and I'm, as I mentioned on the Twitter chat, I'm not only do I manage it, I am an active user of Verizon Family Base. It is a tool that lets you, and I'm getting some feedback now, but it is a tool that lets you manage and monitor your child's usage, data usage, calls, texts. You can look at apps if they have an Android phone. The way I position it with my daughter when we put it on her phone was it's a way to help her learn to use the phone effectively, learn to be safe, learn how much data is enough, and not get the phone taken away, so that, again, we can manage, we can do the budget. Somebody in sales, and I use this now, had a great analogy one time where they said that what it allows you to do, because you can monitor on a per line basis, it lets you make sure everyone gets a piece of the data pie. So you have so much data, and my daughter could go through our entire pie by herself if we didn't limit that amount. So it's a really nice tool for that.
I'm impressed that you can do that, because I too have a 15-year-old junior, and there's no controlling. No. There's not been a whole lot of success controlling that data, but definitely Family Base would be so useful for that, actually. And so we tend to think about categories that are important as far as monitoring and other areas when a child first gets a device. I'm sure you get asked this quite often. So what is your advice really for, the best age perhaps, and how to set up your child for success on their first mobile device?
It really varies on the age. To me, it's a parental decision. Is that child ready for it? Are they going to be away from you often enough that they're going to need it? Do they need that tool for staying in touch, for calling back home? But as far as the positioning of it, we talked again about it's the safety, whether it's Verizon Family Base, whether I put them on a prepaid, there's so many different options, but it's really knowing your own child. And the condition we set up to begin with too was that is my phone that I let her use. I am paying for it. Sorry, by the way,
it's kind of rubbing against your necklace.
Oh, is that me?
Yeah.
I can hear you fine though.
Okay, let's move that.
There you go.
Okay, so the condition we put on it, again, was that it's our phone that we let her use, and that we have the right to go in it and look at it. She has passwords. We want those passwords that we can see them. We don't do it very often, but it's just to keep that accountability. But as far as age, I mean, she was fairly young when we got hers because I work. She was home alone, or she was going between houses, to a sitter's house. I needed that ability to be able to contact her.
Yeah, it is really about safety and the timing, as you say. It's true. Are they alone? Do they need one? And do they need to connect with you? And one of the things that people ask all the time is, what is like if you have to do one quick thing about a mobile device? You want to be sure that you can actually add a filter. Some of the most common accidents on a mobile device from kids really have to do with inappropriate content. So if you download filters on either an Android or on the iPhone, which you can do through settings, that would be my number one advice, is to really put on filters so you don't have to explain things before you want to explain things.
That's true. That is quite true. It's a very good piece of advice.
I like the comment you made a little bit about money, right? Because in-app purchases, and that's something that Family Base also helps you do too, right?
Yeah. Yes, you can actually set a limit. So if you want to make part of the child's allowance, you get $5 a month that you can make in-app purchases, or whatever limit you want to set, 0, 10, you can do that within Verizon Family Base and manage those purchases. So again, it teaches them. I like the idea. It's kind of for us an extension of an allowance. It has been, because it teaches her to manage money versus just cutting things off. It teaches her to manage data usage, manage money, that type of thing. She basically gets a budget.
There's several questions coming up in the comments here.
Okay. I can read those out, Marty?
Yeah. Let's see. There was one way back. I think it was how many? Let's see. Can you monitor all the apps on the kid's phone? And that's from Mama Dear.
You really can't manage the apps. If your child uses an Android, you can download the companion app, and that will let you see which apps they're using and relatively which ones they're using more often. I've used that as a conversation starter with her, but you can't see what they're doing on the apps. Now, that companion app is not available if your child uses an iPhone, so you really can't manage the app usage on that.
Another question from B. Donahue. Can you put a rating on the apps the kids download?
Try that. I
guess can you filter by rating? I think that's...
Oh, can you filter by rating? That's part of the filters, the content filtering. You can do that way, but not necessarily through Verizon, not through Family Base.
And is there a limit on how many devices you can add to the Family Base?
It is 5 devices total.
Excellent.
And for a note too, like I actually put Family Base on my line because it helps me manage my data usage as well. So I have it on my line, on my tablet, where I set a data limit there as well, so that I don't get carried away.
I see a question here is important, is a lot of people ask this question from Ras070. Can I block contacts my children have on their phone through the app itself?
Yes. Let me double check something as we're talking, whether they have an iPhone or an Android, but there is the ability to do the blocking content through the parent app itself. Yes. Actually, in both cases, absolutely.
And I do think that's one of my favorite features, say anti-bullying, really important if you know your child's being bullied or just, harassed or just somebody's just annoying, really. That's when it starts. With Family Base, you can actually block those numbers. And that's really useful because then, that kind of nips it in the bud. But I want to stress something that is really, really important. No matter the age of your child, really, your child. And if you see, behavior changes, if you see them worried, irritable, something's not right, don't just rely on the technology. You have to really step in, look into things, review their technology, just move in quick, because sometimes that's the best symptom, right, of something that may be bothering them, or maybe they've seen something. So be sure to step in when you see behavior changes as soon as possible. One tip that Robin posted, which is really good, is click on photo of people on Blab to give them love. So yes, click on our photos, give us some love.
Yeah,
They don't stay
they
on
call 'em
forever. That's so funny. These
Makes it fun.
these apps cater to the narcissists. So we need a lot of love to be. Thank you, Robin, though. And thanks everyone for joining. This is a great way to chat, I find. Now, independent from technology, Sandy, Marty, you're a dad too. What would both of you be your best parental advice for internet safety for the start of the year? You know, any of those thoughts for the start of the year, because it's really a great time to set some rules. So what's your advice? Starting with Marty.
Oh, okay. Well, my kids are older, so I was lucky. I escaped a lot of the social networking. I was ahead of the curve a little bit. But looking at it, and I see this with a lot of parents, even if you're not a fan of social networking or the sites that your children are on, and they seem like, oh man, I got to learn something new, dig in and learn it. Open an account. Actually get in there and learn what's going on, learn how these apps operate. In fact, you might even like it. And also, certainly you got to be friends with your kids online and have some type of monitoring. And then you want to obviously establish trust as they get older. So the younger they are, depending on what you're comfortable with, you're going to have a lot of oversight. And then you want to teach that independence, that trust factor. But more important, don't just shy away from the technology. Learn about it and learn how it operates. And just don't bury your head in the sand.
Good advice. How about you, Sandy?
I've had mixed success with this. A lot of it's become the conversation. So whether it's walking in, we don't let her have a computer in her room by herself. We've generally, when she was younger, had to have the phone if she was using it downstairs, so that I could kind of monitor it, keep an eye on it, have that conversation. Again, I would bring up the conversation both about the good things and the bad things, so she didn't assume that as soon as I had a question for her, she was in trouble. So, because that's the thing is, and I find I can tend to do that, is only ask about the bad things. So I try to make sure I'm also asking about the fun things, the good things, and keep that conversation open.
Yeah, one of the tips I also like to share sometimes is if your conversation, as Sandy says, centers around, okay, don't do this, protect this, it can be, they would withdraw for sure. One of the great things technology allows us to do is enable them to be creative, for example. And so you can establish a great bond and what I call, a great route for conversation if you encourage some creativity. Say you go on the weekend for, a road trip somewhere, encourage them to use their phone to talk about or to share photos or to scrapbook things that are going to be useful for the device and would allow you to be in a situation where you can have a conversation. But I think ultimately one of the things that to note is that trust is something that we model, and you have to be the person that you want your child to become. I know we've said this before, but it's one of those things, right? You trust them, they trust you. But explain that if the trust is lost for some reason, it's going to be a hard road to get that back up. So it's about their safety, but it's also about, making good decisions. So I love these tools because we can rely on them so much so now. As Marty says, in the past, we were kind of like, I don't know how we functioned without cell phones when I was growing up.
I got lucky with my kids. I was just ahead of the curve where I didn't have to deal with the online stuff. But I don't know how parents do it now. It's a real challenge.
It's a little harder.
Yeah.
How about you, Sandy? Your daughter's planning to go to college. How, you're doing the college tours yet?
We're starting them in October. I actually have my computer propped up on an SAT prep book right now. So she's starting all the, ACT testing, PSATs, SATs, all that kind of thing. So we're planning a few trips this year to start that college search. It's a big decision. The whole, does she stay close to home? Does she go away? Again, back to this trust. What's going on? So these next couple of years, or the next year is a big one, both for class schedule and for building that trust and credibility to make sure that she can go where she wants to go. Yeah,
it's an interesting process to start that, right? Mm-hmm. The whole college process is you start really in this competition. And then once colleges pick your child, they start competing for your child. It's all
Right.
it's all super crazy. But
it is. It's like the nightmare stories of preschools all over again.
oh my gosh, it's so true. That is so true. It's that competition for getting into school. Once you're in school, you're good. But
but getting in, and which school is the right fit, and that's what we've told my daughter, is that she'll go through, we'll visit some schools. We said there'll be some schools of all types that are just going to feel right. Some won't feel right. And you've got to at least go where you feel like you're going to belong, and it's going to be home the next 4+ years.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to have this conversation again with you, Sandy, either privately or publicly. If you all have any questions whatsoever, please post them here or feel free to post them on Twitter, on the Twitter stream with the VZWBuzz hashtag. We try to go back and answer as many questions as we see. We're also on Facebook if you'd like to search us out, The Online Mom. And I want to thank Robin for hosting a great chat, and Geek Babe and the team, Joyce and Amy and Paul, everyone for joining today. Again, we do have a winner of the Nokia Lumia 735. Have you checked out this phone yet, Sandy?
I have not been able to, but I'm quite intrigued with it. So I've got to get my hands on one of them.
Yeah, well, I know Robin is a big fan of Windows phones, and I know she uses them a lot, and there's going to be some great tips about them. Be sure to check out her blog. We'll post it on Twitter so that you can see some of the coolest apps on this phone as well. But the winner of the Microsoft Lumia 735, it's a Verizon wireless phone, of course, is at Cohen Spencer. Congratulations, Cohen Spencer. If Spencer is your first name, congratulations, and please send us via direct message your shipping address so that we can send this right off to you, and you will have it next week. So thank you. Any additional just sort of wrap-up thoughts, Sandy, that you'd like to share with us?
No, I just want to say thank you so much. Again, it's been a learning experience. If you're interested in Verizon Family Base, we did post some links on the Twitter side. You can also go on, if you go to VerizonWireless.com and search on Family Base, you'll be able to find the information as well. There's a nice tutorial. There's some videos on how to set limits, everything else once you help you get set up and get going.
Perfect. Thank you. How about you, Marty? Did you enjoy this blab?
This was great. I've been on here for a while now, and this is a very, very interesting platform. So if you get interested in video chatting, keep an eye on this space. It's some interesting things going on. Just in the comments, guys, who likes this platform? Just yes or no. Let's see some comments before we head off there. I do, yes. Seems to be a big hit. Robin likes it.
Yeah, I think everyone likes it.
Yeah, there you go. So you can do instant polling, which is great.
Yeah. Oh, Sandy, a good question here. I don't want to forget to ask you from Lara DiPaola, who's one of our team members, ambassador for Verizon too. Mm-hmm. She's asking, is there an SAT prep app that you like?
Oh, you know what? I'm just exploring them. I will have to see that, but I looked at a couple of them. We haven't tried them yet. My daughter's pretty good at testing, but I want to kind of get her the comfort level. So for us, the bigger first one is ACT, and I've got to look at that. We just signed her up for an ACT test.
Oh, good for you.
I wish I had better advice. I don't have any right now, though.
We'll research them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. We're going to sign off from this blab. Marty, thank you so much for producing it and guiding us all through this process. Thank you, Sandy. Again, have a great weekend, everyone. And we'll see you next week.